Hello YouTube, my name is Said Mirza and I am a Quran alone follower. In this video, I will be going over some of the verses in the Quran which to my mind constitute the strongest proofs that the Quran was sent down by God. Scientific understanding has come a long way in the last century. The Quran has many observations which would simply not be known to a man living 1500 years ago. Proof 11. The uniqueness of fingerprints. Every human being has a unique set of fingerprints. It is a key component of biometric technology used to uniquely identify an individual. This is alluded to in the verse below. Chapter 75, verses 3 and 4. Does man think that we cannot bring his bones together again? Yea, indeed, we are able to make whole his very fingertips. Proof 10. Third degree burns. We have pain receptors in our skins. Third degree burns go through the dermis and affect deeper tissues. However, with this type of burn, the damage is so extensive that there may not be any pain because of nerve damage. Chapter 4, verse 56. For verily, those who are bent on denying the truth of our messages, we shall in time cause to endure fire. Every time their skins are burnt off, we shall replace them with new skins, so that they may taste suffering. Verily, God is Almighty, wise. Proof 9. Thinner atmosphere, the higher we go. Air becomes less dense the higher we go. On a mountain like Everest at 8,850 meters, the available oxygen is 33% of that of sea level. That is why people who climb high mountains such as Everest need oxygen tanks to supplement the limited availability of oxygen at such altitudes. Chapter 6, verse 125. And whomsoever God wills to guide, his bosom he opens wide, with willingness towards self-surrender. And whomsoever he wills to let go astray, his bosom he causes to be tight and constricted, as if he were climbing unto the skies. It is thus that God inflicts horror upon those who will not believe. Proof 8. The fathomless sea. The ocean is very, very deep. Light can only penetrate so far below the surface of the ocean. As the light energy travels through the water, the molecules in the water scatter and absorb it so it gets progressively darker. At great depths, light is so scattered that there is complete darkness. Chapter 24, verse 40. Or, like the depths of darkness upon an abysmal sea, made yet more dark by wave billowing over wave, with clouds above it all. Depths of darkness, layer upon layer. When one holds up his hand, he can hardly see it, for he to whom God gives no light whatever has he. Proof 7. The preserved message. Recently, University of Birmingham researchers discovered a Quran manuscript which has been dated to between 568 and 645 AD. The manuscript contains verses 17 through 31 of Surah 18, verses 91 through 98 of Surah 19, and the first 40 verses of Surah 20. The text largely conforms to the standard text of the Quran today. There are slight differences in the orthography, but the message remains the same. This is proof of the verse below. Chapter 15, verse 9. Behold, it is we ourselves who have bestowed from on high, step by step, this reminder, and behold, it is we who shall truly guard it. Note that the word used is reminder and not the Quran. The message of the Quran has been preserved even though there are slight variations in the modern text. This is to be expected as languages evolve over time. What is even more astonishing is the fact that this book, the Quran, remained in the hands of Muslims who were unable to change the message to include their polytheistic rituals and had to create an entirely separate literature called the Hadith, which are alleged sayings of Prophet Muhammad, to justify their current day practices, including the worship of the black stone idol in Mecca during Hajj. Proof 6. Muhammad will testify that his people have left the Quran. Muslims, who claim that the Quran is a book from God, in fact do not follow the Quran at all. All their rituals such as Salat and Hajj are derived from extraneous sources such as Hadith. They have abandoned the Quran. The Quran states that Prophet Muhammad will testify on Judgment Day to this fact. Chapter 25, verse 30. And the apostle will say, O my sustainer, behold, my people have come to regard this Quran as something discarded. Proof 5. Man cannot pass the boundary of earth and sky. Contrary to popular belief, humans have never left the Earth, nor have they penetrated to the Earth. The moon landing is fake, and if you don't believe me, I advise you to do some diligent and sincere research into the faked moon landings. Humans never have and never will leave the Earth, as the Quran states. Recently, NASA launched the InSight probe to Mars. Here is a picture of the trajectory of the rocket. As you can see with your own eyes, the rocket curves in a parabolic trajectory. Ask yourself why the rocket does not continue to move upwards perpendicular to the Earth's surface if it is in fact leaving the Earth for distant planets such as Mars. It is as clear as day that this rocket will come back down. You will hear all sorts of nonsense from scientists and experts that claim that it needs to follow a parabolic trajectory to reach escape velocity. I want you to focus on what your eyes see. There is no denying this fact. As for penetrating the Earth, in 1965 the Soviets tried to bore a hole on the Kola Peninsula in Russia. It is called the Kola Super Deep Hole. The target depth was set at 49,000 feet. The drill reached 40,230 feet and could not go any further due to higher than expected temperatures of 356 degrees Fahrenheit. Drilling deeper was deemed unfeasible and the project was abandoned in 1995. Chapter 55, verse 33 through 35. O you who live in close communion with invisible beings and humans, if you can pass beyond the regions of the heavens and the earth, pass beyond them. You cannot pass beyond them save by a sanction. Which then of your sustainers' powers can you disavow? A flash of fire will be let loose upon you and smoke, and you will be left without succor. Proof 4. Creation of humans. The miracle of birth can be observed using cutting-edge instruments today. The Quran details how we are created. Here are pictures of the fetus in various stages of development. Chapter 23, verses 12 to 14. And we created man from a strain of clay. Then placed we him as a drop of fluid in a secure lodging. Then created we the drop of fluid, a clinging thing, and created the clinging thing, a fleshy lump, and created the fleshy lump bones, and clothed the bones with flesh. Then brought we into being as another creation. And blessed be God, the best of creators. Proof 3. Development of hearing, sight, and understanding. At week 18 of conception, a fetus starts to hear sound. As the weeks progress, sensitivity to sound improves. At birth, an infant can detect light and motion. They can make out faces and large shapes. By the end of the first month, a baby can make eye contact and focus on objects about 12 inches away. By the time a baby is 3 to 4 months old, he can distinguish between colors and focus on smaller objects. Understanding is the final stage, which happens as the baby gets older. Between 5 and 7 months, most babies learn that their names refer to themselves. Chapter 16, verse 78. And God has brought you forth from your mother's wombs, knowing nothing, but He has endowed you with hearing and sight and understanding, so that you might have cause to be grateful. Proof 2. Everything is created in pairs. We observe in the earth how plants have a male and female component. Similarly, we see in humans the existence of male and female. We now know that electrons, protons, and neutrons have their own opposites called anti-electron, anti-proton, and anti-neutron. Similar concepts such as hot and cold, positive and negative, are phenomena which occur in pairs in nature. Chapter 36, verse 36. Praise to be the one who has created all pairs from what the earth sprouts and from themselves, and from what that they do not know. Proof 1. No contradiction in the Quran. If you analyze the Quran carefully, you will find that there is no contradiction in the Quran. I have taken this time to analyze it and have yet to find any contradiction in it. This proof will become evident to you if you also diligently study the Quran, but it is only with God's grace that you can be guided. Chapter 4, verse 82. Will they not then try to understand this Quran? Had it issued from any but God, they would surely have found in it many an inner contradiction.